Hey everybody, it's Dr. Amy Myers. Let me go in and add Emily Fletcher in, and we'll get started here in just 1 second. Give me just 1 second. Hey everybody, it's Dr. Amy Myers. Let me go. Okay, I'm not seeing Emily quite yet, so give us just 1 second. I'm going to chat with my team. 1 second. All right, everybody. So Emily's hopping on here. She's just running a few minutes late, but welcome. Hope everybody had a great Labor Day. Still thinking of everybody with Hurricane Harvey. And, you know, we finished up our Labor Day sale. We're getting all the numbers in. Super excited that we're going to be donating some money to everybody who's in need for Hurricane Harvey. We had hoped to make some gift baskets, welcome gift baskets to those people who will be arriving to Austin, but looks like the city had been overwhelmed with those, so we'll make an added donation. And thinking, of course, to everybody who's in the path of Irma right now. My nanny, her family lives in Puerto Rico, so she's been on the phone with them all day today. So we're praying for everybody in Puerto Rico, as well as everybody in its path and all the way up through Florida. So I was home, as you guys know, in New Orleans this past weekend. And, you know, both my mother and father have passed. And so I was with my father's sister and my mother's sister, and remembering that they both lived on the Mississippi Gulf Coast when Katrina came through, and they literally lost everything. They came home to an empty lot, literally not a single family heirloom, nothing left. So I was realizing, as they were saying how they didn't have anything, how I have most of the family pictures and things like that, and had offered to give them copies or even some of those items back since they don't have anything. But anyway, my uncle, who was from Florida, drove down to see Elle, and he's on the Atlantic coast of Florida, and he was heading home to go prepare in case Irma heads there. So certainly to my family, hurricanes are not a foreign person or a foreign disaster. We're well versed with the hurricanes in my family, having grown up in Louisiana and Florida. So it's only here now in Texas that we, you know, that something hit here in Texas. So anyway, we're still waiting for Emily, so hopefully she'll hop on. Let me just check and see when she'll be here. All right, so let me pop on and see who there is that I can say hello to, and while we're waiting for Emily to arrive. Let's see who we have here. Let's see. All right, so let me see. All right, so let's see who we have here. As we're waiting for Emily, she's having a little bit of trouble with the link. So we have Seclin, hello, hi there, Claudia, Karen from Maryland, Misty, so good to see you as well. We have Donna from New York here. So everybody come on in, welcome yourselves, say where you're from. If you have any questions, we're going to be talking about meditation today and stress. If there are any questions, you can start throwing those out as I'm waiting for her to show up. All right. So let me check back and see if Emily is here. 1 second. There she is. She's waiting. Okay, let's see. Are you there, Emily? Hi. How are you? I can't hear you. Let me see if you are on. 1 second.
How's
Oh,
that?
there you go. That is great. So let me just, all right. So I think hopefully they ought to be able to see us. So let me get back to Facebook and see if it, I don't think you've joined on Facebook quite yet. There we are. Okay, awesome. All right, well, welcome. Glad we got you on here.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. So this is Emily Fletcher. Emily is the founder of Ziva Meditation and the creator of Ziva Mind. So we recently, I knew of Emily and her amazing work with meditation, but we actually met in person at an event a little over a month ago, about exactly a month ago, I think, and really hit it off. So I thought you guys would so enjoy hearing from her today. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her, and then we'll jump into some questions, and maybe she'll even be so kind as to give us a little brief overview of, a guided meditation or something. Because, dealing with chronic illness in and of itself can be stressful. And so many of the people that, follow me are either stressed, and that's how they got into the boat of a chronic illness, because of course stress can suppress the immune system, or in addition to, they're stressed because they're sick. And so it's this, gerbil on a wheel kind of situation. So I think that, learning how to deal with some of that, because we can't get rid of our stress, but it's really about how we approach it and how we deal with it, and our attitude towards it, and finding, as I write about in my books, a way to relieve it, not get rid of it, but just to have a brief break from it. So we'll talk more about that. But as I said, Emily Fletcher is the founder of Ziva Meditation and the creator of Ziva Mind. It's the world's first online meditation tool. So she makes it's her mission to just make meditation attractive, accessible, and easy. Don't we all want that? She was recently named the New York Times top 100 women in wellness to watch. And she's certainly regarded as one of the leading experts in meditation. And I'll let you, actually, my first question to you is really how you got started in meditation. So we'll just kind of jump straight to that and welcome you.
Yeah, sure thing. So my journey was sort of an unlikely one of Broadway showgirl to meditation teacher. My last Broadway show was a chorus line where I was understudying 3 of the lead roles, which means you show up to the theater and have no idea what's going to happen. It's like everyone's stress dream. And that was my life for about 10 years. And that started leading to a lot of stress. Like you were saying, that chronic stress that builds up on top of itself. I started going gray at 26. I started having insomnia for about 18 months, started getting sick 5-6 times a year. And it was very confusing to me why I was living my dream and miserable. And so thankfully,
there's probably many listeners out there that can relate to that.
Yeah, because I think we all secretly believe that once we achieve a level of success, that our life is going to be sunshine and roses. We're so busy caught up in the pursuit of happiness that we forget that what we're actually interested in is the happiness of pursuit. And that's easier said than done when you don't have a tool to help you access your happiness internally. Because then we're all just chasing the next job, the next boyfriend, the next zero in the bank account, the next line on the resume. And I did that for a really long time, and that stress started accumulating in my body. So thankfully, this amazing woman was sitting next to me in the dressing room. She was understudying 5 of the leads, so her job was 2/5 harder than mine. And this woman was crushing it, just celebrating every song, every dance, every bite of food. And I was like, excuse me, what do you know that I don't know? And she said, I meditate. And I was like, oh God, right? Because this is a year ago. So there wasn't the science out then that there is now. No one was talking about it then like they are now. But I thought, what do I have to lose? So I went up to this course, signed up. First day, first course, I was meditating. To be honest, I had no idea what that meant, but I was in a different state of consciousness than I'd ever been in before, and I liked it. And then that night, I slept through the night for the first time in 18 months. And I have every night since, and that was 10 years ago. Then I stopped getting sick, stopped getting injured, stopped going gray, started enjoying my job again. And I thought, well, why does everyone not do this? So I left Broadway, I went to India, I started what became a 3-year training process to teach. And then I opened up Ziva Meditation about 5 years ago, and it's been the best thing I've ever done.
Awesome. Well, tell us what makes Ziva meditation different. I think you and I were talking about it a little bit. I was I came back from college super stressed out. And my mother said, okay, come on, we're going to this weekend workshop. And I learned transcendental meditation when I was in college. And I must say I've fallen off the wagon, but I'm hoping that us reconnecting or us connecting will reconnect me with meditation. So tell me, you know, for those people out there, I mean, maybe why don't you first tell us what meditation is? Because I think that's maybe one of those buzzwords now, you know, that because it is coming more into popularity, some people may not actually know what it is. And then maybe tell us what makes Ziva meditation different than some of the other types of meditation out there, like transcendental meditation.
Sure. So meditation is an interesting word because, like you said, it is becoming so popular, and it's becoming a bit of a like a blanket term for like anytime you're not on your iPhone scrolling through Facebook, they're calling it a meditation now. I'm like, okay, everyone, like, let's calm down. Like, washing dishes is not the same thing as meditation. Cooking is not the same thing as meditation. Exercise is not meditation. That's why they have their own words. But meditation, I would define as quite simply a stress relieving tool. It's a tool to help you get rid of stress in your body. And I think that where this gets confusing is that a lot of people are using mindfulness and meditation as synonyms, and they're not actually the same thing. The word mindfulness is actually relatively new. It was sort of invented by John Kabat-Zinn, who went to India and studied a lot of Buddhist techniques and brought the techniques back, but took out the scary Buddhist words so that people weren't intimidated by them in the 50s and 60s and 70s in the US. So we could teach it in corporate culture. So I think we owe him a debt of gratitude because people were able to adopt the techniques without having any preconceived notions of it being in conflict with any religious affiliation, which I think is really great. So mindfulness, I would define as the art of bringing your awareness into the present moment. So simple, so beautiful. The art of bringing your awareness into the present moment. But mindfulness is more of a waking state practice, more of a directed focus style of meditation. Whereas meditation, it's certainly the style that I teach at Ziva, is all about letting go. It's all about surrender. It's all about deep healing rest. And so the way that you can delineate these two is that I like to say that mindfulness helps with your stress in the right now. And meditation helps give you deep rest, which gets rid of the stress from your past. And this is particularly helpful for people with chronic disease, chronic inflammation, chronic stress, because that stuff over time actually starts to build up in your cellular memory. And so this is not meant to be derogatory in any way, but I think a good analogy that helps people is that I think of mindfulness almost like the aspirin. It's like if you have a headache right now and you take an aspirin, you feel better in the right now. It's dealing with your pain in the now, versus like physical therapy or something is going to help to get rid of something that's from your past. So that's
the root, like I do in functional medicine, getting to the root of what's going on with you rather than treating a symptom. Although, you know, being mindful can also, you know, there's value in that rather than people being on their phones and, you know, being present in the present moment.
Yes, and they're all good for you. And I would actually argue that mindfulness is almost a byproduct or a result of meditation. Because if you're meditating and you're giving your body this deep rest, you're actually de-exciting your nervous system in a way that creates order. And when you create order in your body, then the lifetime of accumulated stresses that we all have stored in our cells can start to come up and out. And the reality is the less stress you have in the body, the easier it is for you to be mindful, the easier it is for you to be present, the easier it is to be more conscious because you have more capacity for the task at hand because your body isn't so busy dealing with stress and preparing for an imaginary tiger attack, which is really what stress is. It's your body going into this involuntary fight or flight stress reaction. So that's sort of like the definition. And to your point, I have lots of people who have gone through TM or transcendental meditation and then come to me at Ziva because they're like, I stopped meditating. I quit meditating. Help me start back. And one of our missions at Ziva is to rid the world of ex-meditators because, you know, we just think that this tool is too good. It's too useful. It makes you too productive to quit. And so what we try to do is figure out all of the obstacles, all of the points of resistance and solve those for you so that this feels like a no-brainer. And one of the biggest points of resistance I see is that people think that they're too busy to meditate. And that's why I really like to train on the neuroscience so that people have a real clear intellectual understanding that actually meditation isn't something that you do when you have extra time. It's not a pedicure for your brain. It's not a luxury item. It's actually the piece of mental hygiene that you need to practice so that you can perform optimally. And that's really our gig at Ziva, is that we're all about meditation for better performance. And the actual Ziva technique is this beautiful trifecta of mindfulness, meditation, and manifesting. And so we use mindfulness almost like an appetizer, and meditation is the main course, and manifesting is the dessert. So we use those waking state practices, that breath work, that guided visualization, like a runway, to give you something to do, because I tend to work with high performers, which tend to be a little bit, like controlling, like me. I call myself a recovering control freak. So we give people something to do, that mindfulness tool, on the way into the surrender that is that meditation. And then we use the manifesting as the dessert. And manifesting to me is just consciously creating a life you love, using that deep, de-excited connectedness that you get during meditation, and then setting your intention from that space, which tends to supercharge your manifesting practice. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So is that something, I have several more questions I'd love to ask you, and then our, Facebook Live people may have some questions as well, but is that something that you'd be able to demonstrate to us towards the end?
Sure. So I'm happy to walk everyone through a guided visualization and do some breath work and even some manifesting tools. I can't teach the whole Ziva technique.
Oh, no, of course.
But I'm happy to walk people through an exercise.
Yeah,
and if they want to dive deeper, they totally can.
Yeah, I think it's really good. So what do you tell people, because I've already checked Facebook and there are a couple of people, I'm too busy, I don't have enough time. What do you tell people? Because, there are only so many hours in a day, and, most of us are already stretched to the end and are having trouble getting what we need to done. So what's the best way? Dive in, tiptoe? How do you find the space for it?
So when people say, I'm too busy to meditate, I have a few things. One is if Oprah has time to meditate, you have time to meditate. And the other one is, okay, if you don't have time to meditate, do you have time to feel like crap? Right? Like, do you have time to be sick? Do you have time to be stressed? Do you have time for your brain to not function as it is meant? Because the reality is stress makes you stupid. Like it or not, stress makes you stupid. When you are stressed, there's a reason why you can't find your keys when they're in your hand when you're rushing to get out the door. There's a reason why you can't find your glasses when they're on top of your head. So the reason why you think you don't have enough time is because you feel like you're constantly in overwhelm and overcapacitated all the time. And my argument to this would be, well, if we use this tool to eradicate the stress from your nervous system, then your brain is going to start functioning more effortlessly, more elegantly. You're going to start to find that your to-do list that used to take you 5 hours now takes you 3. You're also going to start to find that your sleep becomes more efficient, because for most of us, sleep is the most efficient form of rest that we have. And meditation is actually giving your body rest that's 5 times deeper than sleep. And this is not an insignificant point, because when you give your body the rest that it needs, it knows how to heal itself. And one of the things that it heals itself from is stress. So the way that this looks is that if you start inserting these 2 pockets in your day to meditate, and you use that as a time for stress release, and your body can actually use its sleep as a time for sleep. So this means that where you used to sleep for 8 or 9 hours and wake up exhausted, you might start needing 6 or 7 hours, and you wake up feeling refreshed because your body is having a more efficient usage of that time. And now that we have all the body data monitoring devices, I have my clients track their sleep pre and post taking the Ziva course. And before Ziva, it looks like this. And after Ziva, it looks like this. And so even if all meditation did for you was shave 1 hour off of your sleep at night, so for a 40-minute time investment, you now have 20 minutes extra in your day. Like, our theme song at Ziva is stress less, accomplish more. Like, I don't want you meditating because I want you to go to a cave and stop having sex and stop drinking Jack Daniels and quit your job. Like, no, I want you meditating because I want you to get better at life. I want you to be better at your job, a better parent. I want you to have more time to enjoy. And my hypothesis, it's not even a hypothesis, there's like a mountain of science to defend this, is that the less stress you have in your body, the better able you are to perform at the top of your game. And the way, so to your actual question of how do you start? Do we tiptoe? Do we just dive in? I think the thing is that step 1 is realizing that meditation is like any other skill, right? Like, most people think that they should just imagine, magically already know how to do it. But just because it's simple doesn't mean it's weak, right? Just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. And so I think that
sometimes the more simple something is, the harder it is.
That's right. Because we're so used to complicating things and controlling things. And we in the West are not very good at surrendering. And so, of course, you don't have time to do something that you don't know how to do. because none of us will do anything for very long that we feel like we're failing at. And that's why I think it's really important to find a teacher that you trust, that you respect, someone that's been through the unstressing process, someone that knows how to usher you through it, because then there's no question marks. It's like, is this right? Is this wrong? Is this normal? Is this not normal? And then you don't have to be constantly second guessing yourself. And they're also going to teach you how to gauge your success. So what I do at Ziva is I have people write down their relationship with stress as of day one. Like, how many times a year do you get sick? How many hours of sleep do you need? How much mindless scrolling through Facebook are you doing? How much drinking are you doing? How much pot smoking? How much reality TV? Like, all the stuff that we do to deal with stress, I have people write it down. Because the reality is, in 2 to 3 months, they don't even remember. Like, they can't even imagine using coffee and sugar and alcohol and pot in the way that they were before they started meditating. And then they have an accurate way to gauge their progress.
Awesome. So that being said, I mean, how does, because I feel like that's one of the, main questions is how do you know if you're doing it right? I mean, if someone's working with you, then obviously there's some feedback, but if somebody's trying to do this on their own, or they're doing a, course, how does somebody know?
So I would say the number one criteria is, are you getting better at life? And that's going to be different from person to person. What's a great life for me is different than a great life for you. But some commonalities are, is your sleep better? Is your sex better? Is your immune system stronger? Do you feel like you're more in flow? Are you more kind? Are you more patient? Are you more creative? Those are the markers that I'm really looking at. Not, and this is a big one, please do not judge your meditation practice based on how many or few thoughts you're having while you're sitting in a chair. No one cares how many or few thoughts you're having while you're sitting quietly in a chair. And this is the number one misconception around meditation. And there's like this one dude going around telling everyone to clear their mind. And I wish I could find this guy and teach him how to meditate, because it would make my job so much easier. So here's some really good news. If you've ever tried meditation and felt frustrated because you couldn't clear your mind, listen up. The mind thinks involuntarily, just like the heart beats involuntarily. I'm going to say that again for dramatic effect. The mind thinks involuntarily, just like the heart beats involuntarily. Okay, so we wouldn't judge ourselves at how good we are at meditating based on how good we are at giving our hearts a command to stop beating. So please do not judge yourself at how good you are at meditation by how good you are at giving your mind a command to shut up. It's not the point. The only time the brain flatlines is when we're dead. Okay, now I think what people are talking about when they say clear their mind is really that increase in capacity, that increase in space and clarity, the clarity that comes as a result of the meditation, but that's coming in your waking state. It's not happening necessarily in the meditation. And this is really like the number one reason that I see why people quit. It's like, well, I tried to do it, but my mind is too crazy. I tried to do it, but I can't stop my mind from thinking, so I just stopped. And so this is why I'm on like a big rampage to like re-educate people about this one misconception.
And so what is your advice as people's mind is floating? Just let the thought come and go?
So the advice is, get a technique that's designed for you. If you're literally just sitting there and like trying to meditate, you're going to quit. Like I know maybe 2 people. I've probably met somewhere close to 10 to 12,000 people who I've had conversations with one-on-one about meditation. And I've met 2 that could actually like teach themselves how to meditate. One was from a book, and the other one was just like, yeah, I just started doing this thing when I was 5. Every single other person I've ever talked to needs some sort of guidance or training or technique. And the thing here is to know that all techniques are not the same. Most of what people are calling meditation in this day and age are actually versions of mindfulness, which are derivations of techniques that were made for monks. And this was news to me when I first started learning about meditation, because I thought, well, whatever monks are practicing, it must be so much more powerful because they're monks, right? They must be like vibrating or levitating or something. But it's actually the other way around. What I teach at Ziva is derivative of something that was made for householders or people who live in society, who have jobs and kids and stuff to do. And I like to call it the lazy lady's meditation, or like the busy man's meditation, because it's not that hard. You don't have to focus. You don't have to concentrate. All you need is a chair. But I would say, whatever technique you use, make sure that you have something that's designed for you and that you enjoy and that you're feeling some shifts around. But to your point, yes, like thoughts are not the enemy of meditation. effort is. And so the more you find yourself like efforting and controlling and this stuff happening, you got to just soften it up. You got to just ease it up. And that takes practice. You know, paradoxically, surrender and letting go, we consider these like 4-letter words in the West. And so these are not our habit. And so they take a little bit of practice.
And so how, you know, and I assume it's probably the same, you know, should I have gotten a question like this about, you know, how quickly should somebody notice something? I mean, I imagine everybody heals, and this is probably a form of healing. So everybody heals at a different rate, but, you know, how quickly or should somebody start to notice something? And then you've already mentioned a few things that people could notice, but what are some, you know, transformations that you've witnessed?
Yeah. So it depends. Like I teach in person. I have a studio in New York, and then we have an online training as well. And the online training is a little bit gentler than what I teach in person. And that's by design, just because I'm not there face to face to walk people through it. And there is, it's not even a dark side of meditation, but there is for most people a level of detoxification, or what I call unstressing, that can happen as people learn to practice. And not many people are talking about this. And so I do like to talk about it, because this can also be a reason why people quit, because they start a meditation practice and they think it's supposed to be sunshine and roses and unicorns and lollipops all the time. And what happens for a lot of people first is instead some tiredness, some sadness, some rage, some fatigue that starts to come up and out. And then again, they feel like they're failing because no one prepped them for it. And so I'll speak to my in-person trainings first, but most people, even on the first session, they feel like they're in a different state of consciousness than they've ever been in before. They start to notice like a level of awareness, serendipity, flow, like even after that first session. And then the second day, they're like, my breakfast just tastes better. My coffee smelled sweeter. I just know I was smiling at people on the subway. I never smile on the subway. And then around day 3, they get sort of like sucker punched in the face with like a lifetime of exhaustion and fatigue and sadness that can start to come up and out. And then that's my job, right? My job is to help you through that and be like, you're doing great. It's going to pass. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Or, you know what, hey, this seems extreme. Maybe we need to dial it down a little bit. Maybe we need to adjust the practice, because there's no need to suffer. And that's why, you know, just like having a doctor that knows, that's helped people through this, it's helpful to have an expert at this walking you through. Now, once people go through that sort of detoxification, which can last anywhere from a few days to a few weeks, in extreme cases, even a few months, but it dissipates, it lessens over time. Then most people, after like the first 2 to 3 months, they get to a space of like solid, you know, they feel like there's not so much of highs and lows. There's a plateau that happens, and each day life's getting easier, brighter, lighter, more flow, more ease, sleep gets better. And then it's just this gradual like softening, this gradual, like I thought, like a sloughing off of skin. You know, meditation's not magic. It's not a quick fix. It's not like you flip a light switch and you're enlightened. It's just day by day, we're making things brighter and brighter. And then that goes on for your whole life. I'm 10 and a half years in now, and I notice changes every day. They're subtle, but I feel a constant up-leveling, a constant surrender, ease, elegance, and that's really fun.
Yeah, well, it sounds very similar in a different kind of way to, you know, what I do with patients through an elimination diet, where, you know, the same kind of thing within, you know, first couple of days, almost like a die off, or as you said, a shedding of your skin. And then I remember the very first time I went through an elimination diet, just this heightened sense of, you know, I could smell things better, things looked clearer. I mean, it's just, I guess purging the system of these toxins, whether it's stress to bad thoughts to, you know, foods or infections.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can hear my little one screaming in the background.
Yeah, speaking of stress.
Yeah, speaking of stress, right before we left, she rolled off the bed. So I heard a thunk and a cry as we were heading out the door to the airport. So she just got back from, I haven't checked in, but the chiropractor to make sure that everything was still in alignment after that. Yes.
She's lucky she has such a good mama like you, taking such good care of her.
Oh, yes. I mean, you know, of course, everybody's like, she's fine, she's fine. And I know she was fine, but I just didn't know, you know, I think about this, you know, trauma at 6 months. Is this going to be something in 20 years? So for better or worse, my brain with everything I know goes there. But anyway, Well, anything that you want to add, about meditation before maybe just giving us a little sneak peek at kind of what you do? What do how long do you meditate, and do you do it twice? When I learned, it was 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the afternoon was, sort of what everybody was kind of shooting for. What's your...
Yeah, so I like that. That's what I personally practice, and that's what I recommend. For my in-person training, it's 20 minutes twice a day. For the online training, because it's a little bit gentler technique, it's 15 minutes twice a day, and that's a little bit more manageable. The unstressing is not as intense. But the reality is, what I often teach my students is don't let perfect be the enemy of good, right? Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Certainly not as a new mom. As a 6-month-old, your priorities have changed. And for new moms, I say just catch as catch can. Let go of any rules, let go of any guilt. Train, know what optimal is, know the rules so that you can break them, but know that this is a unique chapter of life. And if you need to do 10 minutes while the baby's napping, or if you need to meditate while you're nursing, it's like some meditation is always better than no meditation. And I think that it's good for you to understand what the ideal is so that you know why you do it before coffee, so you know why you don't want to meditate right before bed. But then occasionally you have to break the rules, or you just make it fit to your life, and that's okay. So don't let perfect be the enemy of good is a nice slogan to take with you on your meditation practice. And then the other, I'm just going to say it again because it's that important. Like, even as I walk you through this exercise, the thing to keep in mind is that thoughts are not the enemy. You're absolutely allowed to have thoughts. Really, truly. You might think about work. They might be stressy thoughts. You might be thinking about your ex-boyfriend, your taxes. It's all good. I'm gonna be walking you through step by step, giving you some techniques that you can come back to. But please don't beat yourself up or have any self-flagellation moments for your thoughts, because that's not going to help anything.
It is. I would say that that's certainly one of the things. It's not the reason that I stopped, but I have a very, very active mind. I would say more active than the average person. And, so to get it to shut off, and that's how you always, think. What is your opinion? And I know obviously you do something different, but, with, Muse, or now that there is technology available, I've found, for certain things, heart math, things like that. I am a person that likes feedback, but then it also can be a downside. I do have a Muse, and, I find the times that I hear the birds chirping, and I've done neurofeedback and things like that. And the times that it, really, you get the birds or whatever it is, the waves, the signal that you want. My mind is so still. It is like this nano split second. I'm thinking, my God, if my mind has to be that still to get these birds, how, it's just so hard. And then sometimes the feedback can be really helpful, particularly when you're a person like me who is used to achieving and succeeding, and getting the positive accolades. And you're like, I'm going to keep doing this. But then when you get the ones that are really hard and you don't get the birds very often, then you're thinking, I can't do this. And it, I guess, can have a downside to it.
Yeah, so this is interesting. So I've met the CEOs of most of these companies, of Oura Ring and Muse and HeartMath, and they're all doing great things. And I'm so excited that we have these toys, that we have tools and toys and technology to inspire people to want to play with the toys, and get people involved in a way that they maybe wouldn't have, they didn't have the immediate feedback. But the reality is, if you have a technique that is designed for you, and if you have solid training in it, you're not going to need any technology to tell you whether or not it's working. Your life is going to be better, and it's going to be better fast, and you're going to feel it and know it. So you're not going to need any birds chirping or any neurofeedback to tell you whether or not it's working, because your life's going to be amazing. But that said, so Arielle Garden, she's a neuroscientist and a fashion designer, and I think an engineer. She's a very amazing, very smart woman, but she didn't really have a meditation background. And so I was actually going to teach her to meditate. So Muse, though, is very much designed around mindfulness, as is HeartMath. They're all about focusing. They're about directing your focus, and you're getting that silence or the birds when your mind is still. Right, which we're trying to go for silence, you're focusing. That's very much a monastic practice. So those tools are not really very good for what I teach at Ziva, because what I teach is actually made for people like us. It's designed for people with busy minds and busy lives. And the more you try to control it or stop it, the further away you're going to get from it. And so while those tools are great, they're not that useful for what I do. What we've been partnering with is someone called Oura Ring, And that is, I'm helping them to design their meditation interface. And that's basically, eventually you're going to be able to judge like skin acidity, heart rate variability. And what I'm more interested in is the habit formation, and you having like a way to say each day that you have meditated, and then looking at how the meditation is impacting all your other biomarkers in your day. And so we're playing with some ways to, at Ziva, we want to be like the Peloton of meditation, because I'm interested in using technology as a way to coagulate the community and to have people to compete against themselves and their own markers from the previous day. I'm also partnering with some folks at Stanford, and we're using VR, or I should say they are using virtual reality to get people into fight or flight. And then they're testing how effective Ziva is at getting them out of fight or flight. And so now with virtual reality, we can get humans into different states, whereas before we could only really use animals, which is not, that humane or ethical. So VR is really allowing neuroscience to take big new leaps forward, which is exciting. But I'd say, the toys are fun.
I've looked into the Aura Ring. They didn't have my size in stock. I like the fact that it's not, you're not using the EMFs while you're doing it, and
right.
You can track different aspects. So that would be super cool.
Yeah, and actually, if people want, they can use the code Ziva, Z-I-V-A, if they want 10% off of Aura Ring. That's helpful for people. They're a little big right now, but the next incarnation looks almost like a little wedding band. They're really cool. I'm trying to get them to make a rose gold one because that's my favorite color.
Awesome. And if people are interested in, doing your online training, we have a link, which is amymd.io/Ziva.
Yay.
Checking out.
And just so people know, Ziva, they often ask me, Ziva is actually a Sanskrit word that means bliss, and it's a Hebrew name that means one who is radiant or kind. And I like that it was a female name, and bliss, radiance, and kindness are pretty common side effects of meditation.
Awesome. Well, you certainly are very kind and seem very blissful. So.
Great.
All right. Well, those of y'all out there, if you want to, we're going to take part in just a mini sampling of what you do.
Great. And how many minutes would you like for us to go?
5.
5? Great. Beautiful. Okay. So we're going to start with something that I like to call balancing breath. It's a really simple but powerful tool to help balance the right and left hemispheres of the brain. Quick little Cliff's Notes view of this, and this is an oversimplification, but left brain is that prefrontal cortex. It's the past, the future, critical mind, analytical mind, balancing your checkbooks, whereas the right brain is all about the right now. Present moment awareness, intuition, creative problem solving, connectedness. And so if you look at a human brain, it splits right down the middle, 50-50. And I don't think that nature makes mistakes. I don't think that nature, would have given us 50-50 if it wanted us to use 90-10. And yet that's what most of us are doing. We're spending so much time in this waking state, past and future, reviewing the past, rehearsing the future, that we're not giving ourselves too much time and space to get to the right now. And that's why I like to start with this balancing breath, because it's a nice way to start to take our right brain to the gym. And then we use that breath almost as like a bow and arrow, like pulling the bow back so that we can surrender into the meditation. So to begin, just take your right hand, and we'll use our thumb and our ring finger, and go ahead and close your right nostril.
I don't know if I can do that.
If that's hard, you can use your pinky, but yeah, you did it.
Yeah, but that was it's much easier. I'm going to use my pinky.
Yeah, pinky's fine too.
A little like something might be wrong with me there. Something's wrong with you. Can't do that.
Yeah, pinky's totally fine. That's no big deal. So to start, just take your thumb and close your right nostril, and then exhale through your left nostril. Really good. Now inhale through the left. And now take your pinky or your ring finger and close your left nostril and exhale through the right. So good, you're an expert. Now inhale through the right. And switching sides, closing your right nostril with your thumb and exhale through the left. So good, inhale through the left. Good, floating at the top for just a moment, and then switching sides, closing your left nostril with your other finger and exhaling through the right. And when you get to the bottom of this exhale, just floating there for just a moment, noticing the space between, and then letting that air just fall back into the lungs, all the way to full. When you get to the top of the inhale, just floating there for just a moment, noticing that space between, and then switching sides and exhaling all the way to empty. And you can go ahead and close your eyes if you haven't already. And on this next inhale, I want you to imagine your breath and energy coming in through the base of your spine, And as you inhale, imagine this breath and energy traveling up through the spine, floating at the top for just a moment, and then switching sides, closing your left nostril with your pinky or your ring finger, and exhaling through the right nostril. And as you exhale, imagine sending this energy out through the middle of your forehead. Really good. Floating at the bottom of the exhale for just a moment. And again, inhaling. And as you inhale, just waking up your imagination and imagining this breath and energy coming in through the base of the spine, traveling all the way up the spine. And when you get to the top of the inhale, floating there as you switch sides and exhale, sending that breath and energy right out through the middle of your forehead. So we're waking up our imagination. The pattern is simply out through the left, in through the left, and then we switch sides out through the right, in through the right. And you can start to do this in your own time. Just on each inhale, imagining the breath and energy traveling up the spine. And on each exhale, we send the breath and energy out right through the middle of the forehead, creating a cycle and a flow of energy, waking up all of that creative energy that lives at the base of our spine and starting to send it out through the middle of our forehead, out into the life that we want to create. Really good. We'll do one more cycle. Letting it be your biggest inhale you've taken all week. And as you exhale, keeping your eyes closed, dropping your hands into your lap. And we'll walk through a very simple but powerful technique called Come to Your Senses. This is a mindfulness tool that we're going to use to ground ourselves in our body and into the right now. So to begin, I want you to listen for all the sounds you can detect. My voice, maybe there's traffic happening in the background, your kids in the next room, the air conditioner. And we're not judging these sounds as good or bad. We're not trying to block anything out. We're simply allowing all of the sounds to be held in our awareness. The enjoyable ones, the annoying ones, almost letting them pass through you like a wave. Noticing the prevalent and the subtle sounds, pulling the lens of your awareness back, including everything you can hear inside of this experience. Really good. And now ever so gently bringing your awareness to your sense of touch. So what's the most prevalent tactile sensation happening in your body right now? For most of us, it'll be our bums in the chair or your feet on the floor. Again, we're not judging the physical sensations as good or bad. We're just noticing them, the prevalent, the subtle. Imagining like your entire body becomes an antenna. Every single hair on your body is like a mini antenna. Giving yourself full permission to be so deliciously human right here, right now. Really good. And now even with the eyes closed, I invite you to see what you're seeing. It might simply be blackness. Maybe you can see the cells dancing across the membranes of your eyes. Perhaps you can see the light streaming through the window, through your eyelids, noticing the most prevalent and the most subtle sights. Really good. And now, even though you're not eating anything, I invite you to taste what you're tasting. It's the most prevalent taste happening in your mouth right now. Can you taste your morning coffee or your afternoon lunch? Is your mouth acidic or dry? And finally, smelling what you're smelling. It's the most prevalent smell happening in the room for you right now. Can you smell your own shampoo? How does the inside smell different from the outside? Just taking it all in. Really good. And now we're going to play with holding all 5 of our senses in our awareness at the same time. So playing with the simultaneity of consciousness. Hear what you're hearing. Feel what you're feeling. See what you're seeing. Taste what you're tasting. And smell what you're smelling. Again, giving yourself permission to be so deliciously human and seeing how many of your senses you can hold in your awareness at the same time. Hearing what you're hearing. Feeling what you're feeling. Seeing what you're seeing. Tasting what you're tasting. And smelling what you're smelling. Using our 5 senses as a tool to bring ourselves into the right brain and into the right now, which is where our bliss and fulfillment hang out, always right here, right now. And knowing that as we use our 5 senses as a tool to ground ourselves in the present moment, we start to realize that the present moment is the future in the making. And the more present we are right here, right now, the higher quality seeds we plant for the future. Really good. And now from this space of expanded awareness, of acceptance of everything that's going on, we can take a moment to move into the manifesting. So I invite you to think of one dream, one desire, one thing that makes you feel excited or lights you up. It doesn't matter how big or small. It could be a pair of shoes, a dream romantic partner, a dream job, just one thing that would bring a smile to your face. And I want you to imagine this dream as if it's happening right now. Imagine signing the contract, saying yes, putting on the shoes, handing over the gift, whatever it is for you. I want you to imagine it as if it's your current reality. Really giving your imagination space to play, like you're a little kid playing pretend. What does it look like? Where are you? What does it sound like? Who's with you? And most importantly, what does it feel like? If this dream were to be happening right now, what would it feel like in your bones, in your gut, in your blood, in your body? Who's the first person you would call to share the news with if this dream was happening? And what would you say to them? Just imagine that conversation. Have it in your mind right now. And I want you to hear their response. Are they crying? Are they laughing? Are they squealing with delight? Are they telling you how proud of you they are? How they always knew that you would do it? And just listening to these words, receiving these words as your best friend, as your family member is so proud of you, is so loving on you so hard. And then just allowing the sense of accomplishment, the sense of achievement, the sense of enthusiasm and generosity. Let this bring a little smile to your face. You know, even if you have to fake it till you make it, just have a little smile on your face and then breathe that smile into every single cell in your body. Good, and then exhale, letting go of anything that isn't serving this dream. And one final time, even if you have to fake it till you make it, the biggest smile you've had in all this entire year, in all of 2017, ear to ear, toothy Julia Roberts grin, just slap it on and then smile this smile into every single cell in your body. And then exhale, let go of anything that isn't serving your dream. So good. And so it is, knowing that that manifestation precedes desire, which means that this thing is already on the way to you or you wouldn't even want it. And with that level of confidence, with that level of assuredness that it's already on the way, in your own time, you can start to slowly, gently open the eyes.
Got a little teary-eyed. Because I wanted to tell, when you said tell somebody, it was to my dad, and he passed this year, so.
Aww. But you know what? That's the beautiful thing about meditation, is that when you access those pieces of you, I really believe that we get to access the piece of us that connects to everyone and everything, regardless of whether or not they're still in their body. So I bet your dad could hear you just fine. So that's really beautiful.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for walking us through that. I mean, I don't know, the other listeners, but for me, I find when I meditate, obviously I feel lighter and or even just taking a deep breath. I mean, I don't know how many people out there watching felt it just, with literally the first deep breath, because so many of us are not even breathing deep. So I feel it right then. For me, it's this, it's kind of like, obviously I've gotten where I am by doing and achieving and using that left brain so much, so that when I shift, I almost feel so relaxed that then I kind of don't want to do anything. It's almost like trying to work while being on the beach or something. Mm-hmm. So how do you, and maybe that's just that I haven't gotten far enough into it, and that's still part of the letting go, that then maybe the added energy comes down the line. But I would say for me, it's almost when I get relaxed, then I get relaxed, and then I don't want to. Yeah, I'm like an all or nothing kind of person.
Yeah. So let's talk about this, because this is really important. And it's even, like I said, we really specialize with working with high performers like yourself. I teach doctors, CEOs, NBA players, Oscar, Tony, Grammy award winners. Like, I'm not teaching people that just want to like meditate all day and smoke pot and like get high and like chill out on the beach. Like, I like working with hustlers. I like working with people who are shaping the collective consciousness and changing the world. But if you think about it, like, your cell phone doesn't work better if you never charge it, right? Like, eventually this thing is going to die. Eventually the batteries are going to run out. And same thing with your brain and your body. Saying that, I'm either all or nothing, it would be like, well, I'm just never going to charge my phone. I'm just going to use it all the time. And our brains are very much like our cell phones or like our computers. So you probably had a day where you at work typing an email, and then you're like, what, let me just check Facebook. Let me just check YouTube, Hulu, Instagram, and then eventually, let's say you had 10 million windows open on your computer. And they're like, what, maybe I should get back to work. And you go to type an email, and then the cursor is 40 spaces behind. And you're like, oh God, stupid computer, can't even type an email. It's like, well, this computer is plenty capable of typing an email, but if you're using so much of the computing power to run those 10 million open windows, then you're not functioning as well as you could at the task at hand. And that's the exact same thing as the human brain. By the time we're 20 years old, the average American has approximately 10 million PCCs, or precognitive commitments, which is basically anytime the body's ever been stressed, it's left a little open window on your brain machine. And over time, that slows us down. So meditation is not about chilling out. Meditation for me is not even about relaxation. I don't care if you're relaxed in the meditation. I don't even care if you enjoy the meditation. I care that you're using a tool to go in and close down those old irrelevant windows so that you have more computing power, more capacity for the task at hand after the meditation. Now, admittedly, it might take you like 2 to 7 minutes after the practice to really fully get back in the swing of things, but you're going to be so much more in the swing of things that 2 to 5 minutes is not really a big deal. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, now I'm already feeling more awake, but it's also,
there you go.
You're so passionate that, I feel like people must feel when they're interviewing me, because I get so passionate. Hearing you so passionate, you can't help but get excited about it all. So I'm like all fired up now. Initially, I was thinking, okay, this is great. What else do I have to do today? Because I feel so relaxed. I don't want to go do anything else today.
Yeah, but you'll start to find it's like a supercharged power nap sitting up. It's like you do it. Yes, it feels a little sleepy, but then afterwards you're like more awake, more conscious, and you have more capacity because that stress isn't slowing you down.
Right. Right. Well, anybody who would like to learn more or sign up for Emily, she has an online course. You can go to amymd.io/Ziva, which is Ziva. Mm-hmm. So this was incredible. We already got multiple comments of people just saying, love this, enjoyed this so much. Thank you so much. So we thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure to have you on and appreciate it. I don't know if there's any final words or anything that you want to say to the group before you go.
Just one thing, and it's mostly for you, but I imagine it will help lots of people, is that if you want to recommit and re-up, like, one, I would love to help you with that. But two, I would say the not so secret is to schedule it. Like, pull out your phone, pull out your calendar right now and schedule in that time, just like you would a Facebook Live, just like you would an appointment with your doctor or a play date with your child. You got to put it in your calendar and carve out that space, because you're not going to magically have more time to meditate.
Absolutely. I actually write about that in the Autoimmune Solution and the Thyroid Connection, is that you have to schedule it just like anything else. I mean, and working out to meditating to, as you said, all the meetings and everything else that you have, if you don't schedule it and if you don't put yourself, many people who are ill with chronic illnesses that I work with are still trying to do for others and put others first. And so I tell them that they really need to put themselves first, that during this period of time that they're going to get well, they need to put themselves first. And so this is another instance, and thank you for the reminder to all of us. So I'm certainly going to go, put something. I like to kill two birds with one stone. So it's okay to either, you see my sunlight and sauna or my Oxy Health hyperbaric. So I like to kill two birds with one stone. I can meditate inside one of those, right?
I mean, it's not my favorite, but if the sunlight and sauna isn't super duper hot and you're no danger of like passing out, I'll give you a pass. But eventually I want you just
hyperbarics, I won't pass out.
Okay, I don't know the hyperbaric, so I can't speak to that. Okay. But as long as you're upright, like back supported, head free, and there's no danger of you like falling into water or passing out, then fine.
What do you do? Lying down meditation?
No, because you'll just fall asleep. I mean, unless you're trying to do a guided meditation for sleep, then that's fine. Like if it's a guided audio to help you fall asleep, that's fine. But at Ziva, we're very much back supported, head free. Okay. And the cool thing about that is you can do it on a plane, on a bus, on a subway, on a car ride, and no one even knows you're meditating.
Right. Okay. Wait, somebody's writing. I think that there's a quick question here for you. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So Nia is asking how often we should meditate or for how many days. I think you've already answered that, but you can go ahead again.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing is that meditation it'd be like how often should I brush my teeth, or for how many days should I brush my teeth? Like my mission at Ziva is to make leaving your house without meditating as rude as leaving your house without brushing your teeth. It's like, that's gross. You need to handle that. It's not nice for you. It's not nice for anyone else. So it's every day. You just do it every day, twice a day, for the rest of your life.
And you happen to have an app, someone is asking?
We don't have an app, but our online training, Ziva Mind, is totally mobile compatible. So you can do that training. It's a beautiful, so just to talk a little bit about that training. So right now it's 8 days. It's about 25 minutes a day for 8 consecutive days. And it's not like an app where it's like you just log in and you're dependent on someone else guiding you. What it is, it's actually a training. I'm going to take you from A to Z so that when you graduate, you have a practice that you can do anywhere, anytime on your own. You don't need me. You don't need Wi-Fi. You don't need finger symbols or incense or headphones or, sound canceling headphones in order to meditate. You'll be totally self-sufficient and portable once you graduate.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. So, well, let's all jump on it here. So amymd.io /Ziva. So I know you had sent something over and I haven't had the time, but I'm going to make the time.
Yeah. I'm going to check up on you.
Check up on me, dude. Definitely. I like accountability.
Good. Me too.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty responsible, but yes, it has been a bit of a crazy time.
But it does help to have a partner, and especially, being a new mom. And I recommend that people do the Ziva Mind with a friend, that you go through it so you have an accountability partner. We also have an online community. So if you don't go through it with someone you already know, you can find a buddy in there. And that's a great way to check in and to like really make a commitment to someone else. Because all of us pretty much suck at keeping promises to ourselves, but we're really good at keeping promises to someone else. And that's the power in having a buddy or a community.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I'll get my hubby to do it with me.
There you go.
Well, Emily, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been an honor to have you here. And I know that many people found this super helpful. I certainly did. So hopefully we'll have more people hopping over to Ziva Meditation, checking you out, and you'll hit more people meditating.
I love it. That's our mission. We want to get the whole world meditating. So thank you so much for having me. I'm really inspired by your mission and by how much you've helped people. So thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.